Coach, congratulations on #1 ranking.
Thank you.
What does that mean to you? You've been here a long time. What does that mean to you in this program?
Yeah, I think it means a lot. I think, we've got a group of young men who really committed to work incredibly hard. We've got staff, assistant coaches, support staff that have worked incredibly hard, and I think it's something where you get a lot of motivation and a lot of validation from that, and it feels good. It feels really good.
What would you say was the biggest key in helping this team earn the success this far this season?
Well, I think honestly it's their commitment level and the players. They're an incredibly determined group, a very mature group, and the amount of work that they were willing to put in, and a lot of that started well before the coaches got involved. And I think there was a commitment, unlike any other year, for them to step up, the leadership group to step up, and to come into this fall season more prepared than they've ever been. And they had to do it on their own because of the way that it works. In the summer, we don't get to coach them, we don't get to work with them, but they made the commitment to come back for Summer B and really put in the effort and the work. And we got off to a really good start in that first game against Clemson, and it was in large part because of what they had done, and there was some momentum in that.
Going into this season, how good did you think this team was?
Yeah, I think we had a feeling that there was this different level of maturity to the group and different level of leadership. And so we felt like, okay, we potentially have something here, but you don't know, of course, how it all is going to come together. How you're going to do when things don't go the way you planned. And what we found is that we have an incredibly solid group of human beings. I think it starts with their who they are as people, and I think that set the tone for us to be able to deal with the highs and the lows, and to take that in stride and to just commit to getting better every single day. I know it sounds a little cliche, but literally just no matter what was happening, we just committed every day to put in the work, and they committed, the players.
Was there a specific moment where you had a realization that this had a chance to be a really special team?
I don't know that you can point to one moment. Obviously early on we had a big win at Clemson. Incredibly difficult place to play, great crowd, top team. They're still in the top 10. I believe they're in the top 10 right now. And to be able to get the result, and it wasn't exactly the way we had hoped that it would go. Clemson had more control of the game than we had hoped. We had to do some things that we typically don't do, but just the commitment of that group. So I think there were early, I think the best way to put it is there were early signs that we had a team that could get results against top teams and be able to compete at a very high level.
What does it say about your team as you've raised your level as the competition's obviously raised? You have West Virginia and Marshall both in your conference, both in the top 6.
Yeah, I think, it's about mentality. I think the group's hungry, that they have been hungry, and so everybody's different, every team's different how they approach it, but when we had a big game like that, I think there was a lot of motivation and a lot of belief. There was a lot of belief in each other, and then you get into an opportunity to play a top team, and they've got something you want, right? They have the RPI points, they have 3 points if it's a conference team. They have the respect of the overall coaching group, right, when they're ranked, and our guys wanted to have that too, and they've worked really hard for it.
The Big 12 obviously doesn't sponsor men's soccer, so you had to go looking for another league when UCF's leaving the American. You're talking about the Sun Belt. How much does that help you, just being in a league like that? I think maybe people who just kind of follow football maybe don't understand, but the Sun Belt is a really good men's soccer league.
Yeah, I think the Sun Belt made a lot of sense. That's where the other P5s that don't have a home, that's where they play, right? You know, South Carolina and Kentucky in the SEC, and then we had West Virginia, Big 12, and so I think that made immediate sense that's where we wanted to be. And then Marshall winning a national championship a few years back, as well as a number of really good teams. So it was the right fit and the right move, and obviously when you have, anytime you have teams within your league that have high RPIs, there's opportunities there, right? And those opportunities give you the chance, and sometimes seasons go different to the one we're having, right? Where, you know, maybe you don't get a couple results early on, but now you've got high RPI teams on your schedule, and you can immediately change your season and put yourself in the postseason quickly. So you need those games in there. We sought a couple non-conference games that were also gonna give us that opportunity for really good RPI points, and then you've got to go and you've got to get the results.
How has the diversity of your roster helped forge your culture?
Yeah, I think it was pointed out we have players from 12 different countries. I just think they get along so well, and there's just such different personalities within the group. And I think it's more celebrated and embraced than anything else. Like, I think they really enjoy the different languages, and to the point where players are literally trying to learn the languages of other players. One speaks German, and you know, this guy's trying to learn French and trying to speak in French to this guy, and so I think they really enjoy it, and I think that diversity just makes it, you know, more interesting to them. I think there's a diversity of playing styles that come in to the group as well, right? And so, you know, one of the big challenges that I think has really gone well in this year is that everyone's really embraced this way of playing, and they all bring their own individual qualities that they've developed in their own environments to our team, and we try to harness that.
Some of your players were just telling us that the way they're looking at this is that they're enjoying the moment, but they don't want to focus on it too much because they want to keep looking ahead. Would you say you're the same way?
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel like sometimes I try, you know, this is me being really transparent, I try not to enjoy the moment because I still want to stay hungry, but I actually think you can do both, and you can say, okay, that was great, and we should enjoy this for now because it is a special moment, but we have so much more to do, we have so much more of the season to play, we have so much more we want to accomplish, and I don't think those, even though maybe in years past I've thought a little differently, right? I think you can do both, and I'm glad that that's what they're doing. And I take like the Dabo Sweeney quote of, you know, you've got to, when you win, you've got to enjoy it because it's really hard. I mean, I think that's the other thing. Like, it's so hard to win games at this level where the competition is so close. I mean, there's not that much difference between you and any other team at a certain level, and when you win, you've done something that's really difficult, and you should enjoy it. And then you got to move to the next one, and there's a balance to that. But I think that's the right balance that our group should try to strike.
How can this team get better?
Well, we did video this morning, and you know, we pointed out a lot of the things that went really well in the South Carolina game because we want to see that continue, and we grow their understanding. Okay, why did that go well? And then there were some moments in the South Carolina game where you know, we were 3-0 up and it went to 3-2, and there were some things that we could have done better. And I think the challenge in any season is, you know, how consistent can you be with your concentration, with your execution, and I think that's probably the biggest thing for us is, okay, how can we learn from, and you know, this has been the process all along, whether we win or whether we lose, how do you look at that video, how do you understand, okay, what are the decisions that we made, were those the right decisions, what can we get better? In that game, I would say keeping focus and concentration, and maybe we lost a little bit of maintaining the right positioning of our back line. And there were moments where we could have been in different positions, read things a little sooner, especially on direct play, and been able to then avoid the end of that game, which was pretty chaotic.
What's the challenge of not having Wanby now for the next match?
Well, I think, familiarity, right? Like the back line knows how to play with Wanby. They have a lot of confidence with that group. And so now there's a younger player in there in Luciano, and he's gonna probably have a little bit of nerves that he's got to overcome in that first game, but he's been with us now 2 years. He's an excellent goalkeeper. He's also got great feet like Wanby, so we should be able to play the same way or in a really similar way to how we usually do, where we use the goalkeeper in the build-up. And I think they just right away in that game, he's got to get a couple touches and feel some confidence and get into that game. And I think if he does that, he's going to settle in just fine. He's an excellent goalkeeper.
To be at this point where you are right now, who or maybe a player or two that has been really important for this run and for you personally just kind of building this program up?
Yeah, I would tell you, I don't even hesitate. I go to a couple guys that maybe don't get quite the same attention because they're not on the stat sheet in the same way. But you look at Robbie Sornellis, and anybody that's watched us play, it's the most amazing thing. You'll see him up on the left, like closing a player down, the ball switch, and it'll get forward, and somehow he's back in the middle or making the tackle on the other side. So just his work rate, his tenacity, how he's helped control the midfield. AJ Seals, just great to have AJ. He's a leader, he's a winner. He competes at a really high level. He's been so good, and those guys have controlled the middle really well. And then I go to Zane as well, and Zane's a guy. You need a little personality within the group in terms of like a vocal leader, a guy that brings passion and emotion. And I think those three guys, I think they've done a great job this year. And they're all fifth-year guys. They're all guys that have been in college soccer and understand it and are resilient enough to deal with the demands of it. And they've been great.
How much has your phone blown up since that number 1 announcement?
I've got a few texts and a few phone calls, which is great. And it obviously feels good to get that praise from my friends, especially, and my family. So it's been good.
But now you're the hunted and the hunters.
I know. I thought we were number 2. I thought, okay, we're hunted. I think we got comfortable with that, and now you're number 1. That feels a little bit different. So yeah, I think there's always now a target on our back, and I think the best thing to do is you just focus on, okay, what do we have to do in the game to really be successful? What are the things that each individual player has to do to be successful, and not let your mind wander too much you're not defending anything, right? And if you have that mindset that you're protecting something, you're protecting a ranking or whatever, if you construct that as a motivation, I don't think that's going to get you where you want to go. I think you need to go and get 3 points in your next game. And I think when you have that, and I don't think very much about the ranking, because I'm always trying to think, okay, how can we try to get better? I think that's how our staff's wired. I think that's how our players are wired. We'll enjoy it for a little bit, and then okay, let's get back to work.
In the Sun Belt Championship, is it the top 2 seeds host? Is that right?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay, so dude, do you know what you need to do to lock that up?
I don't. Win on Friday.
Okay, well, that obviously will help.
Because I think Marshall is 5-2, right?
Yeah, I'm looking at the standings. Yeah, they're 5-2.
And then
West Virginia's
West
4-3.
Virginia's got 3 ties.
Yeah.
I'm really bad with math with this stuff. So.
Yeah.
If we win, we're just keep winning. Just keep
winning.
winning.
But just how important, you got one more regular, for sure you've got one more home game on Halloween night,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, I mean, what do you want to say to the fans and the student body, maybe kind of delay their trick-or-treating plans a couple hours? How important is it to get a big crowd on that?
Oh, it would be so great. Wear your costume, right? Come out. I'll try to bring some candy for the kids. I would just say, because I know my kids want to trick or treat. I got 3, and they want to dress up, and they want to do their thing. So I think they're going to do it early. and then they're gonna come to the game. So whether you can get there on time, whether you can get there at halftime, whatever, I think it's gonna be a great game. JMU's an excellent team. They've been in the top 20 for a lot of the season. It's very likely that game's consequential for both teams. So I think it's gonna be a good one. So hopefully we get a good crowd.
How would you describe the fan support overall throughout the year?
I think it's been great. I've been really excited to see the crowds. I think the crowds have gotten bigger and bigger each time. I do know we have a lot of support in the community. My 3 kids play in the local club. Paul, the associate head coach, his kids play in the local club. So, you know, we're really connected with the local clubs. There's actually a lot of UCF alums that are coaches within the local clubs, which is nice. So we get a lot of traction from those guys, a lot of support. And then the student body has come out really well too. So hopefully that continues. We keep winning and providing some excitement, and hopefully they keep coming.
Is there any parallel? I mean, I think you arrived at UCF around the time Orlando City was joining MLS. Is there some parallel within the community of just more awareness of soccer, and has that kind of bled over and helped maybe fan supporting your program as well?
I think so. I mean, Terry talks about it, our administration talks about it, that this is a city that really embraces soccer. And I think and there's so many kids playing locally, just all around, that if all of them came, I was talking with the director of FKK, and he was literally saying, if we actually brought everybody, it couldn't fit in the stadium at this point. Like, they have so many players, and that's just up the road. So I do think the support we've gotten, it is because there's so many people that love soccer in this area, and then we're connected to a lot of those local communities that support soccer.
You said you're not focused on, holding on to a ranking, but are you maybe thinking on winning it all this year now?
I think when we sit down at the beginning of the year, we put 3 goals out. And it's okay, we want to win the regular season. That's a goal. We want to then win the playoffs, and we want to win a national championship. And those are always the 3 goals. And we say it at the beginning of the year, and then we don't really talk about it again. And then we just literally move on to, okay, then how do we, all right, this is where we're at, and this is how we get better. But I think there's that, I think if you focus on that, it's just too big of an idea to think about it. It doesn't get you any closer. But yeah, that's one of our goals. That's always the first goal. How do we win our league?
Will you be dressed up for your game on Monday?
I thought about it. I was literally looking online, and I was looking for like Jedi cloaks and things like that. And my kids, actually, we were talking about our costumes, but I think I will be dressed up as a soccer coach.
Great idea.
You guys good?
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
guys.
Coach.
Thank you. Appreciate it.